Thank you, ladies. Thank you very, very much. Now, we're going to skip a few hours. But first, we want a little bit more information about the town. Kind of a scientific hunt, we might say. So I've asked Professor Willard of our state university to sketch a few details about our past history here. Is Professor Willard here?
May I introduce Professor Willard of our state university? A few brief notes, Professor. Thank you. Unfortunately, our time is limited.
Rover's Corner. Let me see. Rover's Corner lies on the old Pleistocene granite of the Appalachian Range. I may say it's one of the oldest lands in the world. We're very proud of that. A shelf of Devonian basalt crosses it with vestiges of the Mesozoic shale. There's some sandstones outcroppings, but that's all more recent. 200, 300 million years old. Some highly interesting fossils have been found. I may say unique fossils. 2 miles out of town in Silas Beckham's cow pasture. It can be seen in the museum of our university at any time. That is, at any reasonable time. Shall I read some of Professor Gilbert's notes of the meteorological situation, the precipitation, etc.?
Afraid we don't have time for that, Professor. How about the past history of man here?
Yes! Anthropological data! The early Merindian stock, the Cotohachi tribe. No evidence before the 10th century of this era. Now entirely disappeared. Possible traces in 3 families. Migration towards the end of the 17th century of the English brachiocephalic blue eye stock. For the most part. Since then, some Slav and
And the population, Professor Willard.
within the town's limit, 2,640.
Oh, just
Indeed. The population at the moment is 2,642. The postal district brings in 507 more, which makes the total of 3,149. The mortality and birth rate constant by McPherson's gauge 6.032.
well, thank you, Professor Willard. We are very much alike, I'm sure.
Not at all, sir. Not at all.
This way, thank you. Now, time for the social and political report. Is Editor Webb here? Oh, Mr. Webb!
He'll be out in a minute. He just cut his hair while he was eating an apple.
Thank you, Mrs. Webb.
Charles, everybody's waiting.
Mr. Webb is editor and publisher of our Grover's Corner Sentinel. It's our local paper, you know?
Well, I don't have to tell you we're run here by a board of selectmen. All males vote at the age of 21. Women vote indirect. We're a lower middle class, sprinkling up professional men, 10% illiterate laborers. Politically, we're 86% Republicans, 6% Democrats, 4% Socialists. Rest indifferent. Religiously, we're 85% Protestant, 12% Catholic. Rest indifferent.
Have you any comments, Mr. Webb?
Very ordinary town, if you ask me. Little better behaved than most. Probably a lot good. But our young people seem to like it well enough. 90% of them graduating from high school settled down right here to live, even after they've been away to college.
Now, is there anyone in the audience who would like to ask Editor Webb anything about the town?
Is there much drinking in Grover's Corners?
Well, I don't know what you call much. Saturday nights, the farmhands be down in Eller's Greenup Stable in Hollowson. We got 1 or 2 town drunks, but they're always having remorses every time an evangelist comes to town. No, ma'am, I say liquor ain't a regular thing in the home here, except for in the medicine chest. Right good for snake bite, you know? Always was.
Is there no one in this town?
Oh, come forward, will you? Where the whole town can hear you. Now, what were you saying?
Is there no one in this town aware of social injustice and industrial inequality?
Oh, yes. something terrible. Seems like they spend most of their time talking about who's rich and who's poor.
Then why don't they do something about it?
Well, I don't know. I guess we're all in like everyone else for a way the diligent and sensible can rise to the top, and the lazy and quarrelsome can sink to the bottom. But it ain't easy to find. Meanwhile, we do all we can to help those that can't help themselves. And those that can, we leave them alone. Are there any other questions?
Oh, Mr. Webb? Mr. Webb? Is there much culture and love of beauty in Grover's Corners?
Well, ma'am, there ain't much. Not in the sense you mean. Come to think of it, there are some girls that play the piano at high school commencement, but they ain't happy about it. No, ma'am, there isn't much culture. But maybe this is the place to tell you we got a lot of pleasures of the common. We like the sun coming up over the mountains in the morning, and we all know it's a great deal about the birds. Pay a lot of attention to them. And we watch the change in seasons. Yes, everybody knows about that. But those other things, you're right, ma'am. There ain't much. Robinson Crusoe, and the Bible, and Handel's Largo. Yes, we all know that. And Whistler's Mother. But those are just about as far as we go.
So I thought. Thank you, Mr. Webb. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Webb.